nous ferait cela, je crois.
Honorable First Member for voting.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir. Question B 1050, please.
I thank the honourable member, Ms. Colette, for putting this relevant question. And there is no compromise in relation to phytosanitary norms and biosecurity and biosafety. And the honourable first member can rest assured that there's good interactive meeting between the officers responsible for the Plant Protection Office under the provisions of the Plant Protection Act. And there is a scheduled meeting with Rodrigo Regional Assembly to discuss on the update of the list of items that should be, moved to Rodrigo, and also in relation to the valid importation permit. Now, my ministry will continue to work closely with the Rodrigo Regional Assembly and all relevant stakeholders to ensure that phytosanitary system remains effective, science-based and responsive to evolving biosecurity challenges. I have also a list of issues raised, measures taken to address the problem, and the relevance and importance of capacity building of officers, the inter-island phytosanitary certificate, and now this certificate is issued also electronically. So which means that things are going on very positively, but if there's room for improvement, certainly we'll make sure that we narrow the gap. And it goes without saying that the collaboration is of utmost importance, and we look upon Rodrigo as a granary of our great little island. Thank you very much.
Okay. Honorable Second Member for Vieux-Grand-Port, Roosevelt.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Says question 1051, please.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, the metro system network spans over 30 kilometers of track, consisting of Line 1 via Port Louis, from Port Louis to Cupid, and Line 2 from Rose Hill to Rejui via Event Cyber City. The two lines are serviced by a fleet of 18 light rail vehicles, and some 37,000 persons daily avail of the LRT services. We have time and again heard that the system has benefits, and I have on my side always believed that we will never know the real value of these benefits if we do not have a monetary value attached to them. And this work has been done lately with the compliments of the British government. We have a report dated 6th of May 2026 from Crossrail International, a specialist advisory organization from the UK government for transport, that suggests that the monetized benefits of the metro system are estimated at some 1.7 billion rupees per year, and that this is not visible in the traditional financial accounts. Deputy Speaker, sir, during the last policy dialogue meeting my ministry had with the Ministry of Finance ahead of the budget exercise, I had raised 2 points. Number one, we have managed to reduce the operational expenses of the Metro Express Limited by 10.4% as at June 2025 as compared to June 2024. And number two, unlike a bus company which uses public infrastructure like roads and bus stops built by government, the metro runs on railway track and uses train stations that itself has to be built at very high cost, and on top of that, it has to be maintained. The metro has to maintain the track and not government. So the economics are not the same. With regards to the second point, I was then advised that we need to relook at the way accounts are done. That would certainly give an opportunity to the extent possible. I believe the Ministry of Finance is the competent authority in the domain to also factor in the monetized wider benefits that Crossrail International has calculated for us. I am hopeful, therefore, to reply to the substantive question of the honourable member, that this proposed way of looking at things, that is, looking at the wider benefits, that one day, should the financial situation of the country allows for it, the government can therefore consider extending the metro system all the way to the airport. I do believe that this is a logical trajectory to pursue, as in most countries of the light rail system connects with their airports, and I rest my case as follows. During the last courtesy call he paid to me last Wednesday, I asked the High Commissioner of Mauritius, Singapore, the High Commissioner of Singapore to Mauritius, the specific question on metro system and airports. I had the opportunity to ask him this question because he's also the chairman of the Changi Airport Group, for which extension is currently being carried out for phase 5. He confirmed that Singapore metro system goes to the airport as well. In our country, it is sad that the previous government did not consider this as a priority. Instead, they went to Côte d'Or and Sepia for obvious reason. Finally, this project was abandoned because the Exim Bank of China had pulled out of this project because of serious flaws in their procurement procedure. Further, in the substantive question, Deputy Speaker, sir, of the Honourable Member, I understand from information obtained from the Ministry of Housing and Lands that there are 2 ex-railway tracks in the eastern and southern regions spanning from Cupip to Bovalo and Mayberg and from Cupip to Suyak. Although part of the required land may be available as preservation was well done, the extension of the services of the Metro Express Limited to these regions imply huge investments which cannot be envisaged at present or in the short term due to the dire economic situation. For a better understanding of the magnitude of the financial implications, MEL has indicated that the construction for phase 4 from Réduit to Côte d'Or stood at approximately 1.7 billion rupees per kilometer in 2023. That is 1.7 billion rupees per meter, which is quite a huge figure, while the procurement of a single light rail vehicle, meaning the train, costs around 250 million rupees. Deputy Speaker, sir, to end, my ministry has launched an international bidding exercise for consultancy services for the development of the 20-year land transport master plan with the support of the UNDP, and this question will be taken on board. That is further extension, including to the airport.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. So I thank the Honourable Minister for his reply. Will the Honourable Minister agree that extending the metro line to the Sasyu-Sagar-Angulam International Airport and the southern region is a project of great national importance, given that it will strengthen connectivity, it will promote balanced regional development, improve access to employment and essential services, it will further reduce traffic congestions and carbon emissions, and further enhance Mauritius' image as a modern, sustainable, and world-class destination? Will the Honourable Minister give due consideration to prioritizing this project in its long-term infrastructure planning once the financial situation improves?
Deputy Speaker, sir, like I mentioned, the master plan that we have launched consultancy for will have as aim to put recommendations and action plans for an integrated multimodal transport system that would adequately respond to the economic development of the country and the travel demand across the island. Any extension of the light rail, to reply to this additional question of the Honourable, will be considered within the terms of reference of the consultancy and recording also with the report of Crossrail International in the spirit of sustainable development of the Republic.
The Honourable Third Member for Parlement.
Speaker, sir, 10 secondes. B 10 secondes. The Honourable Minister is not here.
Sit down. The Honourable Minister is not here. So we'll proceed with the next question and we'll call the question back on here. The Honourable First Member for the North, Mount Island.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir. Question B, 1053.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I thank the Honourable Member for Port Louis North and Mount Island for putting this question. The Ministry has taken cognizance of concerns regarding the fees charged by some private veterinary practitioners. Now, it should be noted that private vet services are provided on a commercial basis, and of course, I hope that they don't forego their professional ethics. Fees are currently determined independently by individual vet practitioners, taking into account the nature and complexity of the services rendered. The Ministry acknowledges that there are instances where members of the public consider the fees charged to be excessive. However, it should equally be recognized that there's presently no statutory fee schedule or legislative provision empowering the Ministry or the Veterinary Council of Mauritius to regulate or prescribe fees for vet services offered by private practitioners. Now, vet fees are determined, therefore, within the framework of private contractual arrangements between the practitioner and the client. In this respect, I wish to inform the House that a committee is being set up to work on amendments to be brought to the Veterinary Council Act of 2020 governing the veterinary profession. These amendments are intended to modernize the existing legislative framework and strengthen the regulation of the profession. Among the key issues under consideration are provisions relating to the registration of foreign veterinary practitioners who satisfy the prescribed professional standards and eligibility requirements. This initiative is expected to enhance the availability of veterinary professionals, strengthen service delivery, promote healthy competition within the sector, and ultimately improve access to veterinary services for the public. This should have a positive impact on the price being charged by private practitioners. Mr. Deputy Speaker, with regard to the honourable member's question regarding an assessment of veterinary fees and regulation thereof, no formal exercise is being undertaken to establish or regulate a scale of fees for private veterinary services. Nevertheless, the matter remains under consideration in the context of the broader review of the legislative and regulatory framework governing the veterinary profession.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. L'honorable ministre peut-il dire à la Chambre le nombre de vétérinaires opérant dans le public et le privé qui sont toujours en service, de même que le nombre de cliniques vétérinaires, et sont-ils soumis à un code de déontologie ou un code d'éthique? Merci.
I don't have the information, but I certainly can gather the information and circulate accordingly. But in relation to officers working in public services, there are 11, and when there should have been 30. In fact, there's a shortage of veterinary services. Now, as to the number of vet clinics, as far as I know, there are 5. Okay, as far as I know, official. Okay, yeah.
Yes, Honorable Amir.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. May I ask the Honourable Minister whether he could use his good office to arrange a meeting between private veterinary services and the Veterinary Council, since there has been ongoing conflicting issues arising between them, which are not conducive for the welfare of the animals.
You know, there's pride and greed, but in the light of the suggestion made by my honourable good friend, Honourable Omia, will certainly entertain the proposal.
The Honorable First Member for Wakaw-Floréal.
Monsieur le Vice-président, le dessalement et la réduction du non-revenue water constituent les piliers essentiels et complémentaires de notre stratégie nationale de sécurité hydrique. La réduction de l'eau non facturée demeure aussi, d'ailleurs, une priorité absolue. Monsieur le Vice-président, dans ce contexte, plusieurs projets sont actuellement mis en œuvre par mon ministère et la Central Water Authority. Je citerai notamment le remplacement d'environ 114 km de tuyaux avec la ligne de crédit indienne, la mise en œuvre d'une approche intégrée de la réduction de l'eau facturée dans la région de l'Est, le remplacement des compteurs en vrac défectueux, cela se fait actuellement, ainsi que le déploiement des systèmes télémétrie et de télésurveillance concernant les fuites d'eau. La réalisation des projets ciblés de remplacement de tuyaux dans différentes régions de l'île. L'acquisition spécialisée pour la détection des fuites d'eau. Les ressources financières nécessaires à la mise en œuvre de l'ensemble de ces projets ont été prévues dans le budget 2026-2027. donc la ligne indienne 2,9 milliards et aussi 792 millions de roupies pour le Non-Revenue Authority. Toujours sur la question de l'eau non facturée, Monsieur le Vice-président, mon ministère collabore activement avec la Singapore Corporation Enterprise en vue de l'élaboration d'une stratégie nationale à long terme pour la réduction de l'eau non facturée ainsi que la mise en œuvre progressive d'un projet pilote dans la zone d'approvisionnement dans l'Est. Parce que dans l'Est, nous subissons pas mal, donc le pourcentage de perte dans l'Est est le plus élevé du pays. Parallèlement, compte tenu de la variabilité croissante des pluies et des effets les plus marqués du changement climatique sur la disponibilité de sources en eau, le gouvernement considère que le dessalement pourrait devenir un élément important de la stratégie nationale à long terme en matière de sécurité hydrique. Cette approche vient compléter les efforts déjà engagés pour réduire l'eau non facturée, renforcer la gestion durable des ressources hydriques et diversifier les sources d'approvisionnement en eau, surtout dans le Nord. Je tiens également à rappeler que les dernières prévisions de la météo de Maurice font état de la pluviométrie inférieure à la normale pour les mois de juillet de cette année-ci, de août et septembre 2026, avec un déficit estimé à environ moins de 30%. Dans cette optique, le gouvernement étudie la mise en place d'une unité de dessalement alimentée par l'énergie solaire dans la région du Nord. Compte tenu des difficultés persistantes d'approvisionnement en eau dans cette région, ainsi que l'augmentation de la demande liée au développement résidentiel, agricole, commerciaux et touristique. À cette fin, Monsieur le Vice-président, une expression of interest a été lancée en septembre 2025, l'année dernière, pour la réalisation d'une étude de faisabilité portant sur la mise en place d'une usine de dessalement de grande capacité comprise en 10 000 et 50 000 mètres cubes par jour dans le nord du pays. Monsieur le Vice-président, 4 candidats présélectionnés ont été invités à soumettre leurs offres dans le cadre d'un appel d'offres lancé en mai 2026, cette année-ci. Les propositions doivent être reçues au plus tard le 24 juillet de cette année-ci, donc dans quelques jours. Donc le contrat sera attribué et l'étude est prévue d'ici septembre 2026 et va durer autour de 8 à 10 mois. Monsieur le Vice-président, cette étude permettra notamment de déterminer 1. Les sites les plus appropriés pour l'implantation de l'usine ou des usines de dessalement. 2. Les coûts d'investissement et d'exploitation associés au projet. 3. Le modèle financier les plus adaptés pour assurer sa viabilité. 4. Les technologies les plus appropriées pour la gestion et l'élimination des rejets dans le respect des normes environnementales. Par ailleurs, l'assistance technique des autorités marocaines et saoudiennes ont été sollicitées compte tenu de les expertises reconnues dans le domaine du dessalement à grande échelle. Je tiens, Monsieur le Vice-président, à souligner ceci, que tout projet qui sera développé dans ce domaine le sera dans le strict respect des exigences environnementales, légales et réglementaires, sociales applicables, ainsi conformément aux principes de développement durable. Merci.
Merci. Donc, je comprends que l'étude de faisabilité va inclure les coûts de production. Est-ce que l'honorable ministre pourrait nous dire si l'étude de faisabilité va aussi inclure une analyse pour comparer le coût de réduction du non-revenue water avec celui de la construction et de l'exploitation d'une usine de dessalement?
Oui, certainement. Certainement que dans l'étude que nous avons demandée, comme je l'ai dit un peu plus tôt, Monsieur le Vice-président, les coûts d'investissement et d'exploitation associés au projet, bien sûr. Et je dois dire que nous avons pas d'expérience dans la matière. Donc, les Marocains et les Saoudiens nous aident. Mais ceci dit, le non-revenue qui a été démantelé les 5 dernières années. Dans le non-revenue water que nous avons reconstitué actuellement, donc pour changer les tuyaux, les 1500 km de tuyaux, ça va nous coûter 37,5 milliards de roupies. Donc, vous réalisez, donc le Pipe Replacement Programme qui se trouve dans le non-revenue water, c'est un projet à long terme, à très long terme, pour changer tous ces tuyaux-là. Donc, le dessalement et le non-revenue water sont deux stratégies qui vont être complémentaires. Mais c'est sûr que nous allons comparer le coût d'implémenter un projet de non-revenue water et bien sûr un dessalement. Mais je dois dire que le non-revenue water dans l'Est ou dans le Nord va nous aider, oui, certainement, mais avec le changement climatique, comme je l'ai dit un peu plus tôt, ben, la pluie ne tombe plus, les réservoirs ne se remplissent plus, les rivières sont à sec, les boreholes sont à sec. Donc, nous sommes obligés, je suis obligé, je le crois fermement, nous sommes obligés pour les années à venir, pour se mettre à l'abri du changement climatique, nous sommes obligés de suivre un peu le modèle Rodriguez, d'aller vers le dessalement, surtout pour le Nord, entre 10 et 50 000 mètres cubes par jour, pour voir si effectivement nous pouvons comparer le coût pour le non-revenue water et le dessalement.
Je rebondis sur ce que l'honorable ministre vient de dire, où il dit que les réservoirs sont vides parce qu'il n'y a plus de pluie. Il a visité récemment Marovaquois. Est-ce qu'il peut-être aurait des explications sur l'assèchement de Marovaquois? Est-ce que c'est uniquement parce qu'il ne pleut plus?
Marovaquois nous inquiète, effectivement, et c'est pour cette raison que nous avons eu les restrictions que nous avons mis en place. Marovaquois alimente les régions du Upper Plaine-Williams. On parle de Quatre-Bornes, de Curepipe, partie de Rosille, de Rivière-Noire, de Floréal, une partie de la circonscription numéro 8. Nous n'avons pas d'autre raison à dire que la pluie ne tombe pas dans cette région. Le problème, c'est que les autres réservoirs du pays ont un niveau acceptable. Si vous voyez le taux, nous sommes à 66,5, je crois, de remplissage des réservoirs. Cela ne nous inquiète pas autant. Mais notre souci à nous, malheureusement pour le pays, nous n'avons pas le système Rodriguez, la colonne vertébrale des réservoirs. Donc, nous ne pouvons pas prendre de l'eau d'un réservoir pour emmener à Marovaquois. Donc, Marovaquois nous inquiète parce que drastiquement, Marovaquois est descendu à moins de 50%, 45%. Donc, la raison que nous avons aujourd'hui, c'est que Marovaquois, il pleut bien moins. Les services canals, les services rivières qui emmènent de l'eau vers Marovaquois sont plus ou moins à sec.
Honorable Minister Utim, you were not in the House when your question was called, so I call it again. Honorable Third Member for Parlement.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir. Bill 1052.
First of all, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, let me humbly apologize for not being present at the time the question was originally asked. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, I'm informed that on the 25th of May 2026, an employee of Roi des Mascarins Limited filed a complaint with my ministry alleging that he was forced to resign under duress and made to sign a compromise agreement. An inquiry was conducted by my ministry whereby it was found that Roi des Mascarins Limited has embarked on a redeployment exercise due to restructuring and economic reasons involving 16 employees. This redeployment exercise was conducted in consultation with the private sector employees union to reach a settlement. Out of the 16 employees concerned, 3 of the employees agreed to be redeployed in other departments within the company. 2 employees agreed to be redeployed in another company, and the remaining 11 employees who were not agreeable to be redeployed have agreed to take a compensation following negotiation with their union, and they have signed a compromise agreement accordingly. So these 11 employees who signed the compromise agreement included the employee who filed a complaint with my ministry. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, I inform that despite signing a compromise agreement, the employee concerned was not agreeable with the termination of his employment and considered that he has been made redundant unjustifiably pursuant to Section 72 of the Workers' Rights Act. Accordingly, he referred a case to the Redundancy Board. I'm informed by the Redundancy Board that as at date, it has received only 1 application from former employees of Roi des Mascarins on 6 July 2026 for the payment of severance allowance. No other complaint has been received by the Redundancy Board. The case has been fixed for mention for the first time on July 15, tomorrow, and convocation letters have been sent to both parties.
Yes, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Will the Honourable Minister advise the Chamber if he will pay particular attention to this case as people who are being redeployed or terminated are particularly vulnerable people who may not have enough voice to raise their concerns to authorities?
I will certainly do so, but the honourable member may ask those employees to file a complaint, because as at today, there is only one employee who has complained. As I said, 11 of them have already signed the compromise agreement. If they feel that they've done it under duress, they can always come to my ministry and we will assist them.
The Honourable Third Member for Guirapo and Roswell.
Merci, Monsieur le Vice-président. PQB 1055.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, following implementation of the revised rental, Rosebel Sugar State Board received representations from a number of planters located at Banan requesting that the increase be reconsidered, increase in the lease. Now, consequently, a meeting was convened on the 2nd of February 2026 at Banan, which I personally attended along with representatives of the Ministry, Rosebel Sugar State Board, and the three honourable members representing the Grand Port region. During the meeting, the planters expressed concerns that the revised rental was excessive and claimed that the agricultural potential of the land was comparatively low, bringing less revenue than expected. In response, Rosebel Sugar State called for a meeting with Food Agricultural Research Extension Institute and MSRI in April 2026, where both organizations were requested to make a survey of the area so as to establish the current status and agricultural potential of the land. The survey consisted of comprehensive field assessments, soil analysis, evaluation of the productive potential of the land, and identification of crops best suited for cultivation in the region. The reports of both institutions are currently in progress. Pending receipt of these reports, Rosebel Sugar State Board will adopt an interim arrangement whereby the 14 leaseholders concerned will be charged an annual rental of 15,000 rupees per hour, subject to review at a later stage. Now, this interim measure reflects the board's willingness to accommodate the concern expressed by the leaseholders while awaiting the outcome of the independent technical assessment. Furthermore, at the request of Rosebel Sugar State, FARE will work closely with the planters by identifying and facilitating access to the various government support schemes, grant, and technical assistance programs available to small planters. The objective is to improve farm productivity, enhance profitability, and assist planters in offsetting part of the production costs, including lease rentals, thereby ensuring the long-term sustainability of their agricultural activities. The Rosebel Sugar State Board has, at its level, established a dedicated technical support team to work in close collaboration with FARE and other relevant institutions in providing continuous guidance to beneficiaries of the scheme at large. This collaborative approach seeks not only to maximize agricultural productivity, but also ensure that land is utilized efficiently and sustainably for the benefit of both planters, leasing land with Rosebel Sugar State and the country as a whole. Rosebel Sugar State Board remains fully committed to supporting small planters and contributing to the government's food security objectives. At the same time, The board has a fiduciary responsibility to ensure prudent management of the public assets entrusted to it while maintaining its financial sustainability. Mr. Deputy Speaker, it is important to emphasize that the Rosebel Sugar State Board is an autonomous statutory body that receives no financial assistance from the ministry for either its recurrent expenditure or its capital investment program. The board is therefore entirely responsible for financing its operation and development activities for its own internally generated revenue, principally from sugarcane operation and the leasing of its land assets.
Yes, Honourable Member.
I thank the Honourable Minister. Mr. Deputy Speaker, in the meantime, those planters, about 25 of them from the Banan village, have received letters imposing acceptance of the substantial increase of 266%. So would the Honourable Minister consider the possibility of having a word with the Rosebel Sugar Estate so that the appropriate communication is sent to those 25 planters in order to avoid some sort of panic amongst those 25 planters?
Only last week, I had a meeting with the General Manager of Rosebel Sugar Estate, impressing upon him to be fair, and hence the reason as to why the lease agreement was revised. But we hope that that will be sustained beyond a year. Okay? But I thank all three members of the constituency for putting the case across very forcefully to me. Thank you.
The Honourable Second Member for Vieux-Garpeau, Rosebel.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Says question B/1056, please.
Minister.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir. I am informed by the NSLD that in regard to constituency number 11, 400 units are being constructed on 2 plots of land at Balisson, Rosebel. According to the contract awarded to Kouros Construction Solutions Limited back in 2023, the initial completion dates in respect of the 2 sites were September and November 2024. It is open for everyone to have seen that the projects are clearly far from completion, even though the completion dates should have been September and November 2024. Following persistent non-performance of the contractor and breach of his contractual obligations, the NSLD in December 2025, following legal advice, terminated the contract of Kouros Construction Solutions Limited. In regards to Part A, I am further informed that the NSLD has completed the very tedious exercise of assessing the value of works completed at termination of contract and will very shortly launch a tender exercise to identify contractors willing to complete the outstanding works. As regards Part B of the question, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I'm also informed that applicants of constituency number 11, and I'm sure that the elected members of that constituency will be happy to hear that there will be those who are considered as hardship cases, particularly those with urgent housing needs, will in the meantime be considered for housing units on a temporary basis in constituencies number 12 and 13, and I'm sure that the elected members there will certainly not mind. Thank you.
You have a question?
Deputy Speaker, sir, so would the Honourable Minister confirm that the housing unit which has been completed at Mont-Albert and Grand Bel-Air would be allocated for the applicants of residents of constituency number 11?
As I've said, I mean, only in emergency hardship cases will they be considered in constituency number 12 and 13 on a temporary basis, because we're quite confident that the project, I call it new because basically they've left it in a mess and we have to relaunch tender, which will be done incessamment. So once that is done, someone is chosen, then they complete it. So obviously the 400 that is reserved for number 11 will go to number 11.
The Honorable Second Member for Belarus can go.
Je vous remercie, Monsieur le Vice-président. B1057.
Monsieur le Vice-président, en décembre 2014, la société Brinks Mauritius Limited s'est vue attribuer un contrat par le CEB pour assurer les services de sécurité sur des sites critiques pour un montant de 68,3 millions de roupies. Le 19 novembre 2015, la société ASL Security Services a obtenu un contrat pour les services de sécurité pour 7,67 millions de roupies. Les deux contrats ont été prolongés à plusieurs reprises à la suite d'une décision du conseil d'administration de l'époque qui envisageait que le CB Facilities Company Limited, filiale créée en 2017, assure à terme les services de sécurité. Donc, nous parlons de 10 ans de contrats renouvelés. Monsieur le Vice-président, j'ai également appris qu'un appel d'offres lancé en 2019 avait été annulé. Un nouvel appel d'offres a ensuite été lancé par le CEB en août 2020, l'année ensuite, pour les sites critiques, mais aucun contrat n'a pu être attribué. En 2021, donc 3 années de suite, un nouvel appel d'offres couvrant l'ensemble des sites du CEB a été lancé. À l'issue de cet exercice, ASL Security Services a été retenu. Cette décision a été contestée par Brinks Mauritius Limited devant l'Independent Review Panel qui a rejeté la requête. Monsieur le Vice-président, les deux appels d'offres infructueux en mars et en juin 2023, la société Security and Property Protection Agency a obtenu le contrat en septembre 2023 et a soumis son rapport final en novembre 2024. Entre-temps, Brinks Mauritius Limited et ASL ont continué à assurer respectivement la sécurité des sites critiques et non critiques du CEB. Les contrats conclus en 2014 et 2015 faisant l'objet d'un examen mensuel. Donc, 10 ans de contrat continu. En mai 2025, à la suite des préoccupations exprimées par le nouveau conseil d'administration du CEB, un nouvel appel d'offres a été lancé sur les sites critiques. Celui-ci a toutefois été annulé sur recommandation du comité d'évaluation en raison des incohérences relevées dans les documents d'appel d'offres. Monsieur le Vice-président, j'ai également été informé que Brinks Mauritius Limited avait soumis plusieurs demandes de révision tarifaire au CEB et avait indiqué qu'elle mettrait fin à ses services avant la fin de 2025 et si ces demandes n'étaient pas satisfaites. Monsieur le Vice-président, compte tenu de cette situation et des délais impartis, le CEB a lancé 4 appels d'offres. Donc, ils ont split le contrat, distinct pour une période transitoire de 6 mois, dans l'attente du lancement d'un appel d'offres global. À ce jour, je dois informer la Chambre que 4 contrats d'une durée de 6 mois ont été attribués comme suit. Les services de sécurité pour les bureaux à ASL Services Limited, 1,598 millions de roupies. À ProGuard Limited pour les services de sécurité à 14,9 millions de roupies. À ProGuard encore pour la sécurité des centrales thermiques à 14 448 000 roupies. Et à ProGuard encore à 13 416 000 roupies. Voilà.
Je vous remercie, Monsieur le Vice-président. Le ministre peut-il indiquer à la Chambre s'il trouve normal que la Central Electricity Board a eu recours au fractionnement, c'est-à-dire à split des contrats de services de sécurité avant leur attribution et s'il estime qu'une telle pratique est acceptable? Je vous remercie, Monsieur le Vice-président.
Et non, cette pratique n'est pas acceptable. Je suis fermement opposé à cette pratique de split de contrat, comme le CEB l'a fait. Je l'ai dit au management du CEB, je l'ai dit au general manager du CEB, l'actuel general manager, et au board, que cette façon de procéder ne cadre ni avec les principes de bonne gouvernance, ni avec l'obligation de garantir une utilisation rigoureuse des fonds publics. Vous savez, dans le passé, nous avons vu, c'est pas normal que nous faisons la même chose de ce qui a été fait dans le passé à la Central Water Authority, où 700 millions de roupies ont été split en petits contrats, de 70 contrats de 10 millions de roupies pour pouvoir donner ici à droite et à gauche. Et là, quand j'ai appris, parce que quand on explique ce contrat-là, quand on explique le contrat de plus de 100 millions d'euros, puis on a des petits contrats pour pouvoir donner, ce qui se passe, c'est que ce n'est pas le board qui a été mis au courant. C'est le management qui a fait des cotations, qui a donné je viens de donner la liste. Donc, à mon avis, c'est pas acceptable. Pour cette raison que j'ai clairement exprimé ma position et la position au management du CEB, au board du CEB, et je souhaite que les futurs appels d'offres se déroulent dans les respects des normes de transparence et de bonne gestion. Donc, j'attends à ce qu'un nouvel appel d'offres couvrant l'ensemble des sites du CEB qui est actuellement examiné et soit envoyé à la Central Procurement Board avant son lancement.
The Honorable First Member for Pito and Village-Wampau.
Question B, 1058.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, I would like to refer the honourable member to the reply I made to the supplementary question to parliamentary question D257 on 7 April 2026, wherein I indicated that the Beau Plateau Link Road would be considered for classification as a main road under the Roads Act. The Beau Plateau Link Road extends from the junction with Fourback Road, B42, to the Mapu Goodlands Road, A5, over a length of approximately 3.80 kilometers. Following representations from the Citizens Advice Bureau, members of the public, the District Council of Rivière-du-Rempart, and members of the National Assembly, as well as the Road Development Authority's technical assessment, the road has been identified as an important link between the Mapu Goodlands Road, A5, and the Fourback Road, B42. The road also serves as a designated bus route, further reinforcing its strategic importance. Accordingly, the RDA intends to classify the Beau Plateau Link Road from its junction with Fourback Road, B42, to its junction with the Mapu Goodlands Road, A5, as a main road under the Roads Act. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, I wish to highlight that the government is coming up with the construction of the motorway M4, which will provide a direct, fast, safe, and reliable route linking communities in the eastern region of Mauritius and improving regional connectivity while supporting economic development. The project consists of a dual carriageway of approximately 30 kilometers, extending from Fourback on the M2 motorway in the north to Belair in the east. It will join the Beau Plateau Road B43 at Mapu, near Verger de la Bourdonnais, and will pass through the villages of Poutre d'Eau Hamlet and L'Espérance Trebuchet, intersecting with the Fourback Road B42 through a roundabout. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, with regard to part A of the question, I'm informed that the RDA has already initiated action through its board for the classification of the road. Thereafter, regulations will be made under section 32 and 74 of the Roads Act to change its status into a classified road, and following its publication in the Government Gazette, the road will form part of the classified road network. In the meantime, the RDA will carry out a detailed survey to determine the scope of works, the extent of land to be acquired, and prepare the corresponding cost estimates. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, as regard part B of the question, the RDA has carried out preliminary investigation to access to the road condition. The investigations revealed the following. First, major and deep settlement throughout the whole stretch. Second, longitudinal and lateral cracks. Third, various potholes formed due to the deterioration of asphalt. Fourth, no drainage system and road marking. Fifth, accident-prone zones due to its narrowness of the road. Sixth, widths of existing road varying from 4.5 meter to 5.2 meter. And seven, approximately 40% of the road is found in build-up areas. Once the road is classified, the RDA will undertake its upgrading.
Yes.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, for your reply. Would the Honorable Minister, in his position, be able to speed up procedures at the RDA so that this road is classified at the earliest possible? Because we had quite several accidents in that area, and the road quality is degrading day by day.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, we already have a first batch of roads which the board has already approved for classification. This road will form a second batch. We're not going to get only one road in the board, so we are taking it batch by batch. So it is coming in the next batch to be classified.
Yes, you have one question?
L'honorable ministre a reparlé de l'autoroute M4. Peut-il nous dire si un EIA, assessment, mise à jour, sera fait avec des consultations avec les habitants?
We are taking all necessary.
B 1059.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, I thank the honorable member for the question because it concerns a service which is at the heart of emergency care in Mauritius. I wish to state at the outset that I am fully aware of the challenges facing the SAMI service. However, it's important for the House to understand that the issue is not only of one of vehicles. A SAMI is not simply an ambulance, it is an advanced life support service requiring a specialized team, proper medical regulation, trained doctors, nursing staff, drivers, equipment maintenance, and a dispatch system capable of identifying real emergencies and sending the appropriate response. Therefore, the strengthening of SAMI cannot be done by merely buying more vehicles. Procurement of SAMI ambulances must go hand in hand with recruitment, training, and retention of specialized personnel. Otherwise, vehicles may be available, but teams may not be available to operate them safely on a 24-hour basis. A SAMI team normally consists of one SAMI doctor, 2 nursing staff, and 1 driver. The present human resource position includes 27 emergency physicians, 30 postgraduate doctors under training who are expected to complete in June 2027, 72 nursing personnel deployed nationally within SAMI and ambulance services, 24 permanentiaires, and 23 drivers. With the present human resource available, it's not possible to add additional SAMI teams on a 24-hour basis without proper recruitment and training. Staff are already performing significant overtime to maintain existing coverage. However, my ministry is working toward the setting up of an additional SAMI team. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, it's also important to make a distinction between SAMI ambulances and ordinary ambulances. A SAMI ambulance is an advanced life support ambulance staffed by trained personnel and used for life-threatening emergencies such as cardiac arrest, severe respiratory distress, coma, serious road traffic accidents, major trauma, and the transfer of critically ill patients. An ordinary ambulance is mainly used for non-urgent transport, including inter-hospital transfer, transport of patients for hemodialysis, and transport of patients with physical impairments for appointments. In exceptional circumstances where SAMI is not immediately available, an ordinary ambulance may be used to ensure that the patient reaches hospital rapidly. In regards to part A1 and A2 of the question, I'm tabling the information pertaining to the allocation of SAMI region-wise and the acquisition dates. With regard to part A3 of the question, I'm informed that presently the SAMI fleet consists of 15 vehicles, out of which 12 are operational and 3 are under repair. It is worth noting that an additional SAMI is expected to be delivered during the course of this month, thus increasing the fleet to 16 vehicles. The newly acquired vehicle will be allocated to Sir Siusaga Angulam National Hospital. With regard to part B of the question, I'm informed that the total cost incurred from January 2025 to date for maintenance and repairs of 15 SAMI vehicles amounts to 3,537,040 rupees 60 cents. With regards to part C of the question, I'm informed that the average national response time to emergency calls is around 13 to 17 minutes, depending on the distance from the hospital or base station, traffic, weather conditions, call volume, dispatch efficiency, and fleet availability. The SAMI is a national service, and a SAMI ambulance from one region may be dispatched to another region if this is the most appropriate operational response. We do not therefore calculate response time regionally. The demand for ambulance and SAMI services has increased substantially, not only for life-threatening emergencies, but also for other urgent requests. However, this increase in demand has not always been matched by the corresponding increase in capacity. Historically, the SAMI service increased from around 5 teams between 1997 and 2010 to 7 teams between 2010 to 2014, and then to around 10 teams as at now, there are 11 SAMI teams. Since November 2024, my ministry has implemented a renewal policy of the fleet of vehicles, including both SAMI and other ambulances, as priority is being given to emergency response vehicles, to patient transport vehicles after years of aging fleet problems. Accordingly, ambulances and SAMIs have been acquired as follows. Financial year 24-25, 5 ordinary ambulances, 25-26, 4 SAMI vehicles. For the financial year 26-27, my ministry has planned to acquire 2 SAMI vehicles and 4 ordinary ambulances. In conclusion, I wish to reassure the House that priority is being given to the procurement of new SAMI vehicles as well as ordinary ambulances, the repair and maintenance of existing fleet, recruitment and training of specialized personnel, expansion of SAMI teams in a safe, sustainable manner, and the consideration of formalizing collaboration with Mauritius Fire and Rescue Services, similarly to what is done in other countries. The objective is clear: to ensure that when a Mauritian citizen faces a real medical emergency, the system is capable of responding rapidly, professionnellement and safely.
Monsieur le vice-président, l'honorable ministre ne convient-il pas que le renforcement des effectifs est tout aussi important que l'acquisition de nouvelles ambulances pour améliorer le temps de réponse aux urgences?
This is what I have maintained, and the number of SAMI vehicles are increasing. At the same time, you are trying to increase the number of personnel as well. Exactly. Actually, there are 30 doctors who are being trained for that purpose, because you cannot put any let's just say, doctor, like those who are working in the hospitals. They need to have additional training for that purpose. And that is being undertaken at MIH, Mauritius Institute of Health, and at the same time with Bordeaux University.
Monsieur le vice-président, justement, une dernière question, avec votre permission. Le ministre a parlé de formation. De ce fait, peut-on savoir quelle formation est dispensée au personnel du SAMU afin de garantir une prise en charge conforme aux meilleures pratiques en médecine d'urgence?
Those emergency doctors, I am told, they are supposed to be properly fit in order to handle cases, dangerous cases, like somebody is suffering from cardiac arrest or someone has faced a dangerous accident. In such situation, the doctor he's specialized for that purpose. And these are the SAMI doctors who are also working in our trauma center as well. So they have got a different type of training to deal with cases urgently and immediately.
Honorable members, the table have been advised that the following PQs have been withdrawn. B1069, B1067, and B1060. The Honorable First Member for Port North and Montalon.
Merci, Monsieur le Vice-président. B1061.
En ce qui concerne la partie A de la question, la Water Resources Commission de mon ministère m'informe que le taux de remplissage des 7 principaux réservoirs du pays est actuellement de 66,4%, contre 88,6% à la même période de l'année dernière. Je dépose la liste des réservoirs, des différents remplissages des réservoirs du pays. Monsieur le vice-président, outre le déficit global du stockage de 22%, il convient de souligner que le réservoir de Marovakwa, principale source d'inquiétude et d'approvisionnement en eau potable du plateau central, n'est actuellement rempli qu'à 45% de sa capacité. Ce niveau est nettement inférieur à la moyenne historique ainsi qu'à celui enregistré l'année dernière. Au 14 juillet 2025, donc aujourd'hui, le taux de remplissage du réservoir de Marovakwa se levait à 83,3% l'année dernière. Ce déficit de 38% l'année dernière et cette année-ci représente l'équivalent de 3 mois d'approvisionnement en eau pour le plateau central. Monsieur le vice-président, cette situation résulte principalement d'une période prolongée de pluie inférieure à la moyenne observée au cours des derniers mois. Le récent phénomène El Niño a également influencé les conditions météorologiques régionales, entraînant une diminution des pluies et des apports vers nos réservoirs, ce qui accentue les défis liés à la sécurité hydrique du pays. Monsieur le vice-président, concernant les parties B et C de la question, la situation des ressources hydriques et de l'approvisionnement en eau à travers l'île fait l'objet d'un suivi rigoureux par la Water Resources Commission de mon ministère, la Central Water Authority, compte tenu du déficit préoccupant enregistré au réservoir de Marovakwa et de la baisse persistante des pluies. La CWA a, depuis le 17 juin 2026, réduit les heures de distribution dans les régions de Haute et Basse-Plaine-William. La situation continue d'être évaluée quotidiennement. Si les pluies demeurent nettement insuffisantes, des mesures restrictives pourraient être étendues à d'autres zones d'approvisionnement afin de préserver les ressources disponibles et de garantir la continuité des services jusqu'à la prochaine saison de pluie, attendue aux alentours de novembre et décembre de cette année-ci. Je tiens à rappeler que nous n'avons pas bénéficié des pluies estivales attendues l'année dernière. Donc, en hiver, l'année dernière, la pluie a été inférieure. Espérons que cette année-ci, ce n'est pas le cas. Les précipitations ont été largement inférieures à la moyenne et le mois de février, habituellement le plus arrosé de l'année, a été cette fois-ci le plus sec. Monsieur le vice-président, concernant la partie D de la question, mon ministère a mis en œuvre plusieurs mesures à moyen et long terme afin de renforcer la sécurité hydrique nationale. Le gouvernement a ainsi approuvé en octobre de l'année dernière, en 2025, la mise en œuvre d'un plan Marshall sur une période de 2 ans à 3 ans, articulé autour de 6 piliers suivants. Les piliers de borehole, je l'ai dit à plusieurs reprises, les 6 piliers que nous avons élaborés et nous travaillons dessus. Et par ailleurs, afin de répondre aux besoins en eau dans des régions de sud et sud-est, la procédure d'appel d'offres pour la construction du barrage de Rivière des Anguilles est actuellement en cours. Le démarrage des travaux, espérons-le, est prévu à la fin de cette année-ci. Nous avons aussi d'autres projets. Par exemple, nous avons le projet de l'agrandissement du réservoir de la ferme à Bambou. Nous avons aussi la réhabilitation et la modernisation du canal d'alimentation pour la Nicolière. Nous voulons agrandir la Nicolière parce que la Nicolière alimente que le Nord. Donc, Midlands alimente la Nicolière et la Nicolière alimente le Nord en domestique et aussi pour les agriculteurs. Nous avons aussi les 114 km de tuyaux qu'il faut changer à travers la ligne indienne que j'ai précisé un peu plus tôt. Et nous allons commencer à partir de août de cette année-ci. Donc, les 43 km qui vont dans 4 régions, le travail va commencer en août de cette année-ci.
Merci, Monsieur le Vice-président. La situation est quelque peu inquiétante. L'honorable ministre peut-il dire s'il existe un plan de long terme pour mettre fin au stress hydrique et non pas seulement aux mesures temporaires en période de sécheresse? Merci.
Oui, bien sûr. Le plan, comme je disais un peu plus tôt, le plan articulé autour de 6 piliers, c'est à long terme. Hein. Ce gouvernement, moi en tant que ministre, jamais je dirais que le 24/7 va être pour demain. Loin de là. Hein. Loin de là. Donc, nous n'avons pas la prétention de dire que nous allons du jour au lendemain régler ce problème. Notre souci, c'est qu'il y a du changement climatique. Notre souci, c'est que nous perdons 62% de l'eau que nous mettons sur nos réseaux. Et ce que nous avons fait jusqu'ici en 1 année et demie, c'est que nous avons augmenté la capacité pour mettre sur le réseau. Donc, nous avons fait drill plusieurs boreholes. Nous avons aussi acheté et nous avons actuellement 52 CPF qui puisent de l'eau dans les rivières pour être traités pour mettre sur le réseau. Nous avons passé une commande et acheté autour de 20 CPF pour d'autres rivières pour pouvoir augmenter sur le réseau. Nous avons aussi demandé au CEB l'eau que le CEB utilise pour faire le hydro à la fin de la production de l'usage. La CWA, en collaboration avec le CEB, à Tamarine Fall, puise l'eau pour remettre sur le réseau de la CWA. Avant, c'était ce PAD dans la mer. Nous avons aussi demandé à la Wastewater Management de proposer au secteur privé d'acheter de l'eau traitée pour l'irrigation. Nous savons qu'il y a une réticence pour arroser les plantes avec l'eau traitée, mais Mais nous avons demandé à Wastewater Management de voir avec l'agriculture, l'irrigation, le ministère de l'Agro, parce que nous rejetons 50 000 ou 60 000 mètres cubes d'eau dans la mer tous les jours de la Wastewater Management. L'eau traitée, bien sûr, à un niveau peut-être pas assez appréciable pour pouvoir être utilisée, mais c'est l'eau qui est jetée. Donc, ceci dit, nous avons aussi, je dois le dire, nous avons aussi, pour faire prendre conscience et rentabiliser et mettre des moyens à notre disposition, nous travaillons aussi sur des révisions tarifaires. Actuellement, au niveau industriel, commercial, pas domestique, bien sûr, mais nous travaillons sur les six piliers à long terme, moyen et long terme, mais aussi des révisions tarifaires d'ici le mois prochain.
The Honorable First Member for Montagne Blanche and Grande Rivière
Thank you,
Southeast.
Mr. Deputy Speaker. Sir, B 1062.
I thank the Honourable First Member for Montagne Blanche and Grand Southeast for his question. Now, Mr. Deputy Speaker, with regard to Part A of the question, local and international applicants who wish to engage in fish farming activities in the fish farming zone will be evaluated on the basis of 1, the proposal for the type of aquaculture project and methodology to be used. 2, the site location and the rationale. 3, the infrastructure, equipment, and technology to be adopted. 4, the implementation phases. 5, the job creation plan. 6, the contribution to community development. 7, environmental safeguard and risk management measures, as well as stakeholder engagement. As far as the selection process is concerned, proposal for all future aquaculture projects will be evaluated by a technical committee under the aegis of the Economic Development Board. This committee will comprise representatives of the Fisheries Division and the competent authority of the Ministry, representative of the Ministry of Finance, of the Ministry of Housing and Lands, Ministry of Environment, Solid Waste Management and Climate Change, including the Integrated Coastal Zone Management Division, and of course, representative of Ministry of Tourism, Department for Continental Shelf, Maritime Zone Administration and Exploration, and the EDB. And then, of course, the Association des hôteliers et restaurateurs de l'île Maurice, that the representative from the association. The technical committee will therefore submit its recommendation to the supervising officer of the ministry. As regards Barashua, an expression of interest was launched by the ministry in May 2025 to invite potential promoters. However, none of the 13 proposals received could be recommended by the evaluation committee set up at the level of the ministry, as the project did not meet minimum requirements as established in the policy of Barashua to qualify for allocation of the Barashua. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, this government is committed to leveraging investment to increase our fish production capacity, support import substitution, and improve national food security. However, the criteria established by the previous government were too prohibitive for potential promoters to be able to engage in aquaculture activities in Barashua. Now, if we want to encourage investment in this sector, the Barashua policy has to be reviewed. In this regard, my ministry has already initiated consultation with relevant stakeholders, including Minister of Finance, Housing and Lands, the Minister of Tourism, the Minister of Environment, Solid Waste Management, and Climate Change, and EDB to review the Barashua policy. As regards Part B of the question, once a project for fish farming zone is approved, the promoter will be issued with an authorization in principle by the ministry to enable him to apply for an environment impact assessment license from the Ministry of Environment, Solid Waste, Management and Climate Change and for concession from Prime Minister's office. For fish farming within the Barasha, I'm advised by the Minister of Environment, Solid Waste Management and Climate Change that there is no requirement for an EIA license under the Environment Act. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I'm further advised that a social impact assessment will be required only for large-scale projects in fish farming zone. Promoters will be required to identify the impact of the proposed project on the local community and to indicate the benefits which shall accrue to the local community as well as to small entrepreneurs in terms of employment and business opportunities. The promoters will also be required to submit their proposal for stakeholder engagement. Upon signature of the deed of concession, the promoter will be eligible to apply for a fish farming license with the ministry to operate the aquaculture project in the allocated fish farming zone. Mr. Deputy Speaker, concerning Part C of the question, I wish to reassure the House that promoters intending to conduct fish farming activities in both fish farming zone and in Barashwa will mandatorily need to carry out stakeholder consultation with inter alia, traditional fishers, non-governmental organizations, tourism operators in the relevant localities to address and resolve any conflict that may arise. As I've previously stated, during my intervention in the budget speech at our sitting of 25th June 2026, we'll make sure that everybody is on board. There will be wide and open discussion with all stakeholders, be they traditional artisanal fishers or the NGO, and we'll make sure that there's a call for fishers to be part of the process.
The Honourable Third Member for Vieux-Garbeau and Roosevelt.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, PQ B1063.
Deputy Speaker, I wish to inform House that my ministry had started the elaboration of a new waste management strategy and an action plan in 2 phases with the assistance of the Agence Française de Développement since March 2017. The appointed consultant, Tabel NG from Belgium, submitted the Phase 1 strategy report in December 2017, laying emphasis on the need to shift to sustainable waste management with focus on recovery, resource recovery, and incorporating the principle of circular economy. The strategy comprises of 5 strategic areas of sustainable waste management, namely prevention and environmentally responsible consumption, increase of resource recovery, provision of technologies for energy recovery from waste, provision of adequate disposal infrastructure, and information and education and communication. In Phase 2 is a feasibility study report on regional composting plants and sorting units on public-private partnership basis was submitted in July 2021. Government took note of the recommendations of a feasibility study report on 30th August 2021, including the implementation of a waste segregation at source to ensure the successful operation of the composting plants and sorting units. In February 2022, the services of the transaction advisor, namely Kukuza Property Development Corporation, was enlisted by the BOT project unit, prepared project documentations to carry out the procurement exercise. The Deputy Speaker on 3rd October 2024, following approval of government, my ministry entered into concession agreements with the concessionaire, namely Sotravic Limited, for setting up of an operation of 2 integrated waste processing facilities in the northern and western regions. Upon start of operations of the 2 IWPFs, it is expected to divert some 208,000 tons of waste from the Marshicos landfill on annual basis, raising the recycling rate current performance from 6 to 45%. The IWPF project is currently in the pre-construction phase with the concessionaire and government having to meet their respective conditions precedent before construction of the IWPF can start. So, Deputy Speaker, we got part A of the question. It's expected that the IWPF will come into operation by end of 2028. Source segregation and collection of sorted waste by local authorities at national level will be effective only if the waste receiving infrastructures and regulatory framework are put in place. In the wake of the IWPF project coming to operation, my ministry is holding consultations with large commercial organizations with a view to enhance source segregation of waste, drafting of regulations based on the extended producer responsibility principle for the management of e-waste and plastic beverage containers, preparing feasibility study with assistance of the European Union on the management of construction and demolition waste and regulations to make the sorting and recycling of such waste compulsory. Finalization of regulation for the management of end-of-life vehicles and collaboration with the Ministry of Local Government on the source segregation program in district councils on pilot basis. With regard to part B of the question, it is highlighted that the proximity principle in waste management means that waste should be treated or disposed as close as reasonably possible to where it is generated. This reduces transport costs, greenhouse gas emissions, traffic impacts, and environmental risks, while encouraging local responsibility for waste management. Along this line of reasoning, this policy will be discussed and is being discussed with the Ministry of Local Government and local authorities. Our aim is to reduce as much waste going to Moashiko's landfill and through upstream recovery of resources and recycling.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. In respect of part B of the question, may we have a timeline from the Honourable Minister as to the implementation of same?
There is an established, I would say, timeline, but we at the ministry, we are not happy because we have inherited such a situation. We are working in the process, and it all depends on the concessionaire, and then also on other, I would say, practicalities during the course of action of the project.
Yes, First Member.
Étant donné le retard dans l'implémentation du projet et les manquements du concessionnaire, quelles actions sont envisagées par le ministère, s'il vous plaît? Étant donné le retard dans l'implémentation du projet et les manquements dans l'implémentation du projet, quelles actions sont envisagées par le ministère?
There are delays. Basically, definitely delays in the implementation of the project. We are working with state law to see what are in the terms of a contract or the concession agreement and see how we can take action. And it both ways also. It's not only on the part of the concessionaire, but also on the part of government itself, the recruitment of engineers. We have been delayed because we have inherited this project as it was.
Honourable First Member for Waqf Royal.
P 1064, s'il vous plaît.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, I wish to inform the House that the Residential Care Institutions for Children Regulations 2022, made under the Children's Act 2020, establish a comprehensive regulatory framework governing the operation of residential care institutions for children. The regulations provide inter alia for the licensing and registration of institutions, inspections, record keeping, management, staffing, food provision, transport, security, and reporting obligations. In accordance with these regulations, officers of my ministry carry out regular inspection visits to RCI to ensure compliance with the prescribed norms and standards. I am informed that during routine inspections carried out at SOS Children's Village Bamboo, officers of my ministry identified a number of shortcomings which were immediately brought to the attention of the management of the institution. My ministry was also made aware of allegations of mismanagement from various sources. The main shortcomings identified were as follows: the absence of a village manager, shortage of staff resulting in inadequate supervision of children, inadequate provision of fresh vegetables, fruits, and dairy products, irregular disbursement of the monthly household budget, deficiencies in record keeping, and poor standards of cleanliness in certain houses. Mr. Deputy Speaker, with regard to Part A of the question, I wish to inform the House that, in view of the allegations leveled and in line with the principle of the best interests of the child, my ministry took immediate measures to ensure the protection, welfare, and well-being of the children residing at SOS Children's Village, Bamboo. Consequently, an urgent meeting was convened at my ministry on the 2nd of April 2026 with a managing director and representatives of SOS Children's Village, Mauritius, the secretary of the NSIF, National Social Inclusion Foundation, and officers of my ministry to address these issues and agree on immediate corrective measures. During the meeting, the management of the institution acknowledged the challenges being encountered and undertook to recruit a village manager at the earliest to ensure the proper management and supervision of the village, to recruit additional staff to address existing manpower shortages, to secure a new supplier to ensure the regular provision of fruits, vegetables, and dairy products, and to regularize the disbursement of the monthly household budget. Mr. Deputy Speaker, my ministry immediately reinforced its monitoring of the institution. As from 2nd April 2026, enforcement officers of my ministry carried out daily inspection visits to closely monitor the implementation of the agreed corrective measures and ensure that the welfare of the children remain fully safeguarded. I am informed that following this continuous monitoring, the SOS Children's Village Bamboo has implemented a number of corrective measures. These include ensuring the regular supply and distribution of food items, including fresh fruits, vegetables, and dairy products, enhancing standards of cleanliness within the residential houses, strengthening record-keeping procedures, ensuring the timely allocation and distribution of household budgets, and the appointment of an assistant village manager by the management of SOS Children's Village, who assumed duty on 13th April 2026. Upon successful completion of the prescribed 6-month training program and subject to a satisfactory performance appraisal, she will be confirmed in the post of village manager. Mr. Deputy Speaker, thereafter, the Office of the Ombudsperson for Children had also conveyed recommendations in respect of the situation at SOS Children's Village, Bamboo. I wish to highlight that my ministry had already taken appropriate actions, as indicated earlier in my reply, to ensure compliance to standards of care at the institution. Mr. Deputy Speaker, with regard to Part B of the question, I wish to inform the House that my ministry is currently reviewing the Residential Care Institutions for Children Regulations 2022 with a view to further strengthening the regulatory framework governing residential care institutions. The review will reinforce monitoring and inspection mechanisms, strengthen governance and accountability requirements, enhance service delivery standards, and ensure a more effective continuum of care for children placed in residential institutions. In this context, my ministry organized a consultative workshop with stakeholders on the 8th and 9th April 2026. The policy orientations, which would be included in the new regulations, are being validated. My ministry will continue to exercise close oversight over all residential care institutions and will not hesitate to take any action warranted under the law to ensure that the rights, welfare, and best interests of every child entrusted to institutional care are fully protected.
Yes.
Merci. L'honorable ministre peut-elle nous dire si le personnel de l'institution, mis à part la dame qui sera promue village manager et qui, j'ai bien compris, suit une formation, mais mis à part elle, est-ce que le reste du personnel bénéficie d'une formation sur la protection de l'enfance, la prévention des abus et le signalement obligatoire des abus?
Je ne suis pas en présence de cette information. Je peux rechercher l'information et table the information.
Que les nouveaux regulations soient mis en place, est-ce que l'honorable ministre peut nous assurer qu'il existe bien déjà au sein de l'institution une procédure assurant une confidentialité et qui puisse permettre non seulement aux enfants, mais aussi au personnel de partager leurs inquiétudes?
C'est ce que nous faisons, Monsieur le Vice-président.
The Honorable Third Member for Popé-Bousquiole.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. B1065.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, I am informed that Mr. D.V. was appointed Chief Executive of the Financial Services Commission on a 3-year contract basis with effect from 16 September 2025, and he resigned with effect from 30th of June 2026. With regard to Part A of the question, I am informed that the terms and conditions of the contract of the former chief executives were as follows: a monthly salary of 375,000 rupees, a monthly entertainment allowance of 15,000 rupees, an official car with a driver, and 25% gratuity upon completion of 12 months of satisfactory service. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, with regard to official overseas visits undertaken, I'm informed that during his tenure from 16 September 2025 to 30th June 2026, Mr. D.V. proceeded on 3 overseas missions at a total cost of 2 million rupees, 1,789. I'm hereby tabling the details regarding the mission attended and the cost incurred for each mission in terms of air ticket, per diem, and other allowances. And finally, with regard to Part B of the question, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, I am informed that Mr. D.V. notified the FSC on 1st May 2026 of his decision to step down from his position as Chief Executive for family reasons, as he needed to be physically outside the country to attend to same.
Yes. You, sir. Could the minister please advise the House, given the very short tenure of the ex-chief executive of the FSC, whether he was pressured in any manner by either politicians or whosoever to leave the FSC at an earlier time?
Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, in fact, there were some press reports when he resigned recently that there was pressure on him to resign for all sorts of reasons. And it was also being said in certain quarters that there was pressure on him to resign. And I had called him personally at least twice to have one-to-one conversations with him and ask him whether there was any issue. And both times he reassured me that he was very committed to working at FSC. But unfortunately, he had a very personal family situation that required for him to be abroad. In fact, between December and June, he had to travel back to his home country, to his where his family is, at least 3 times to attend to family matters. So I can only say that I can only trust what he told me, that he had to resign, unfortunately and regretfully, for family reasons.
Yes.
Can the Honourable Minister inform the House as to whether the appointment of a new Chief Executive Officer is in the pipeline or any time frame for such an appointment?
So, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, at the moment there is a COO who has been recruited by the board who is acting as officer in charge, and the process for the recruitment of a new CEO will be undertaken.
The Honorable First Member for Savannah Black River.
B1066, please.
Deputy Speaker, sir, I'm informed that the Kaznoyar Community Health Center is presently housed in an old colonial building vested in my ministry since more than 30 years. With regard to party of the question, I'm informed that there are no records available at the level of my ministry regarding the exact year of construction of the building. I'm further informed that in 2021, renovation works comprising concrete flooring and provision of a covered bin for clinical waste were carried thereout. In addition, maintenance and repair works are being undertaken by the maintenance team at the hospital level as and when required. With regard to part B of the question, I'm informed that the Kazmayal CHC provides the same services as other CHCs, namely general consultations, dressing of wounds, vaccination and community-based rehabilitation services, antenatal clinic, non-communicable diseases services, family planning, blood collection services of a nutritionist. The Kazmayal CHC operates from 8 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon on weekdays and from 8 a.m. to noon on Saturdays. The facility is closed on Sundays. 1 male nursing officer, 1 female nursing officer, and 1 general worker service the Kazmayal CHC on a daily basis from Monday to Saturday. In addition, a medical health officer is deployed to conduct half-day consultation sessions on a daily basis. The average weekly attendance of patients at Kazmayal CHC is around 40. With regard to part C of the question, I'm informed that there is an adequate stock of medicines and medical supplies comprising inter alia, medicines for management of non-communicable diseases and other common medical conditions, antibiotics, analgesics, and anti-inflammatory medicines, syrups, suppositories, injectable medicines, and other pharmaceutical products to cater for patients attending the Kazmayal CHC. The Kazmayal CHC maintains approximately 1 month's stock of medical supplies, which is replenished through established supply arrangements. Where additional supplies are required before the scheduled replacement cycle, these are obtained from nearby healthcare facilities, including Yves Quentin Community Hospital and Victoria Hospital, thereby ensuring continuity of supplies and uninterrupted healthcare services. I wish to emphasize that my ministry had taken all necessary action within its purview to address the infrastructural constraints at Kazmayal Community Health Center. Following site visit conducted by officers of my ministry, action was initiated for the construction of a new building to house the CHC at existing site. However, my ministry was informed that the existing site was unsuitable as it was insufficient in extent and situated within the high water mark. Furthermore, no suitable land had been identified in the region for same purpose. In view of these constraints, my ministry actively pursued an alternative solution for construction of a container-type facility on the existing site. The Ministry of National Infrastructure was requested to undertake the necessary technical studies and design works, and the project had been earmarked under the list of projects under preparation in the budget estimates of my ministry. Further progress on the project remains dependent on the completion of the required technical processes by MNI, including a geotechnical investigation and the submission of necessary cost estimates. My ministry will be in a position to proceed with the subsequent stages of the project upon receipt of the required technical inputs from MNI. Another option is to shift the services of CHC into an adjacent building which was used to accommodate the ex-post office and ex-civil status office. Accordingly, consultations are ongoing with Civil Status Division regarding the feasibility of the relocation.
The Honorable Third Member for Gadizagishwar.
Thank you. B1068, please.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, my ministry enlists the services of foreign specialist doctors through short-term international visiting missions with the objective of providing highly specialized clinical services facilitating knowledge transfer, strengthening the capacity of our local healthcare professionals, and reducing the associated costs for sending patients abroad for overseas treatment. With regard to part A of the question, the medical specialties for which foreign specialty doctors come to Mauritius include, among others, oncology and pediatric oncology, vascular surgery, renal transplant, cardiothoracic surgery, spine surgery, neurosurgery, urology, laparoscopic surgery, thoracic surgery, ear, nose, and throat ENT surgery, ophthalmology, including vitreoretinal surgery and corneal transplantation, hematology, and other highly specialized disciplines such as autism and diabetic foot care, as and when the need arises. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, my ministry has entered memorandum of understanding with several private health institutions in India in the field of healthcare delivery. These MOUs provide for the treatment of patients inoperable in Mauritius abroad. The MOUs also cater for the training of our health professionals and the dispatch of consultants to Mauritius to carry out complex surgeries. Under the MOUs, my ministry provides airfares, accommodation, and transport facilities. In addition, many Mauritian doctors who have settled abroad often visit the country to provide their services on a pro bono basis. My ministry also provides air tickets. Furthermore, my ministry also benefits from visit of other highly specialized doctors from UK, South Africa, Australia, France, and United States of America who undertake complex surgeries in different fields. I wish to highlight but a few examples of such doctors who provide their services to my ministry on a voluntary basis. Dr. Ritu, a vascular surgeon from UK, comes to Mauritius every 2 months and has already operated on or around 100 cases since his first visit. Professor Patrick and Cynthia Yu from UK also come to Mauritius to carry out glaucoma screenings. Presently, Dr. Hirani Wooden, a Mauritian-born, and Dr. Sailendra Singh from UK are in Mauritius to conduct onco-pediatric surgeries. In the same vein, Dr. Vinay Kumar, a vascular surgeon from India, is also in Mauritius to perform complex cases. Dr. Gina Joseph Rose-Marie, an onco surgeon from India, is also in Mauritius to conduct complex surgeries at National Cancer Center as from today. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, since the beginning of the year, other eminent specialists in different fields have also come to Mauritius to carry out complex surgeries. To name a few, in January 2026, Dr. Ashley Da Cruz and his team carried out 7 complex pediatric surgeries, while Professor Ravi Ramalingam from India performed 12 ENT surgeries. In addition to the above, there is a team of specialists and paramedical staff presently undertaking cataract surgeries. In fact, Deputy Speaker, sir, the waiting list for patients awaiting cataract surgeries has gone up to more than 2,500. With the existing capacity of our local ophthalmologists, around 75 to 80 surgeries who are being performed on a weekly basis. At this rate, many patients would have lost their eyesight before being considered for surgery. In accordance with the provision of the MOU, Kim's Hospital has therefore sent its medical team to undertake these surgeries, and up to now, 550 patients have already been operated. It is expected that the waiting list will be cleared by mid-September. The expenses incurred for these interventions include costs of airfares, accommodation, and a fee of 5,500 per intervention. This amount is far less than the sum which was paid by the previous governor. From May 2023 to August 2024, an amount of 116,790,000 was paid by the previous government to private clinics in Mauritius. Deputy Speaker, sir, concerning part B of the question, the engagement of foreign specialty doctors is based on the following selection criteria. Lack of specialized expertise in the public health sector, need to perform complex procedures which are not routinely available locally, of which local capacity is limited, potential to reduce the number of patients requiring treatment overseas, expected contribution of visiting specialists towards the training and skill transfer to local specialists and other healthcare professionals, availability of required infrastructure, equipment, and multidisciplinary support in the public hospital, and experience and recognized expertise of the visiting specialists. Prior to the engagement of foreign specialty doctors, my ministry carries out an assessment of the availability of the required expertise within the public health sector. The assessment is conducted by the relevant clinical departments and technical officers, taking into consideration the existing human resource capacity, the complexity of the procedure required, patient demand and waiting list, as well as the continuity and sustainability of the services. The assessments have identified that in certain highly specialized medical fields, there is either no specialists available in the public sector or an insufficient number of specialists to adequately meet survey demands. In some instances, also specialists are available locally. Additional expertise is required for highly complex procedures. The introduction of new techniques and technologies are to provide advanced training to local medical teams. Accordingly, my ministry continues to engage foreign specialty doctors on a need basis to complement existing local expertise, improve patient access to specialized healthcare services, reduce waiting time, minimize referrals for overseas treatment, and strengthen the capacity of the public healthcare system through knowledge and transfer scheme.
Time is over. Honourable members, the table has been advised that the following PQs have been withdrawn. B 1074, 1076, 1078, 1080, 1077, 1072, 1073, 1075, 1070.
Motion. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, I move that all the business on today's order paper be exempted from the provisions of paragraph 2 of Standing Order 10.
Seconded? Yes. The question is that all the business on today's order paper be exempted from the provisions of paragraph 2 of Standing Order 10. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it.
Statement by Ministers, none. Public Bill, second reading.
The Honourable Deputy Speaker, the Honourable Speaker will take the chair.
Please be seated. Yes, Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that the Mauritius Hydrographic Services Bill number 11 of 2026 be read a second time. Madam Speaker, this is a short bill, 17 clauses in 5 parts, yet it addresses one of the oldest responsibilities a maritime nation owes: the duty to know, to measure, to publish the truth about its own waters. For an island state whose land area is 2,040 square kilometers, but whose maritime jurisdiction extends over some 2.3 million square kilometers of the Indian Ocean, that duty is a foundational attribute of sovereignty. Every chart used by a vessel entering Port Louis, every depth sounding of Rodrigues, every survey line run over the Saya de Malha Bank is a sovereign act. It says this water is Mauritian, and Mauritius is answerable for its safety, its science, its commerce. Until today, that act has been carried out by a small but dedicated hydrographic unit of my ministry, operating under administrative practice rather than statute. This bill at last gives that work the legal foundation it has always deserved. Madam Speaker, 3 converging realities have made this bill urgent. First, legal. Mauritius is a state party to UNCLOS and to SOLAS. Chapter 5, Regulation 9 of SOLAS obliges every contracting government to arrange for the collection of hydrographic data and the publication of nautical information. We have honored that obligation by administrative practice. This bill translates that practice into law. La deuxième réalité, Madame la Présidente, est d'ordre géographique. Elle est décisive. Le 22 mai 2025, la République de Maurice et le Royaume-Uni ont conclu l'accord sur l'archipel des Chagos, par lequel le Royaume-Uni reconnaît la souveraineté pleine et entière de Maurice sur l'ensemble de l'archipel. À cela s'ajoute notre soumission à la Commission des limites du plateau continental concernant la région de Rodrigue, environ 183 000 km², au-delà de la ligne des 200 000 marins, ainsi que la zone de gestion conjointe convenue avec la République de Seychelles et sur le plateau des Mascareilles. L'espace maritime placé sous notre souveraineté figure désormais parmi les plus vastes de tous les petits États insulaires de l'océan Indien. Or, Madame la Présidente, on ne gouverne pas ce que l'on n'a pas mesuré. On ne défend pas ce que l'on n'a pas cartographié. On n'exploite pas légitimement ce qu'on ne l'a pas relevé. Ce projet de loi nous donne précisément l'instrument statutaire pour faire les trois. The third, Madam Speaker, is economic. 4 submarine telecommunication cables, SAFE, Line and Line 2, MAS and T3, land on our shores, carrying more than 98% of our international data traffic. Port Louis handles the vast majority of our external trade. Our exclusive economic zone contains significant tuna fisheries, prospective offshore renewable energy sites, and some of the most ecologically important coral ecosystems in the Western Indian Ocean. Each one of those interests, Madam Speaker, depends on reliable hydrographic knowledge. I would add a fourth reality. Mauritian industry has been asking for this clarity. Marine consultancies, port engineering firms, cable operators, cruise liners, insurers, and offshore developers have all indicated that the absence of clear statutory framework is a friction cost in their operations. This bill removes that friction. Madam Speaker, this legislation confers 5 clear advantages on the Republic. First, data sovereignty in law. Clause 12 declares that all hydrographic data collected within our maritime zone shall be deemed the property of the state. When a foreign research vessel surveys our seabed, when a private consultancy maps a reef, when a cable lay-up contractor charts a corridor across the continental shelf, the resulting data does not leave Mauritius as a commercial byproduct. It vests in the Republic. It becomes national heritage. This aligns us with Norway, France, Australia, and Canada, and moves us decisively beyond the colonial era arrangements under which our waters were surveyed and the data retained by others. Second, full charting authority over the Chagos archipelago. I say again, full charting authority over the Chagos archipelago and the extended shelf. Following the 2025 agreement, the primary right to publish official nautical charts of the archipelago passes in coordination with the United Kingdom Hydrographic Office to Mauritius. Without this bill, we would be a sovereign without a cartographer. Third, explicit compliance with SOLAS, UNCLOS, and the standards of IHO, IALA, and IMO, all named in Clause 5, Mauritius will discharge its international obligations not by administrative circular, but by Act of Parliament, a distinction material to every ship owner, every classification society, and every marine insurer. Fourth, a single authoritative national voice. Clause 6 creates the Office of the Chief Hydrographer, who will be the single point of contact with the IHO, with foreign hydrographic officers, and with ships masters reporting charts errors in our waters. Fifth, reinforcement of our regional leadership. Mauritius currently holds the vice chair of the Southern African and Islands Hydrographic Commission of the IHO. The bill signals to that community that we intend to hold that seat with the full authority of the statute behind us. Madam Speaker, sovereignty is the frame within which lies tangible economic opportunity. I highlight 5 streams of value. First, recurring revenue from electronic navigational charts. Every SOLAS class vessel is required to carry digital charts distributed through the IHO regional ENC coordinating centers and licensed on a paid basis. Once established with statutory chart issuing authority, Mauritius becomes a producer nation, and every ENC cell covering our waters represents a recurring royalty to the Republic. Second, a more competitive Mauritius, modern, up-to-date, large-scale charts reduce insurance premium, permit deeper draft vessels to call with confidence and shorten pilotage times. Third, de-risking of the submarine cable industry. Clause 9 establishes a licensing regime for route surveys, deposits the resulting bathymetry with the national custodian, and protects the corridors from unauthorized interference. For cable operators, this is not a burden, it is regulatory certainty. Fourth, a regulated market for private hydrographic surveyors. Clause 8 explicitly provides for private persons to conduct surveys subject to authorization. It creates a market with rules, and markets with rules attract investment. The foundation, fifth, is the foundation for offshore energy. Offshore energy, climate resilience, and marine tourism. You cannot site an offshore wind turbine without knowing the seabed. You cannot expand a fishery sustainability without knowing its habitat. You cannot defend a coastline against sea level rise without repeat bathymetry. The bill creates the institution that will hold, curate, and release the data on which every one of these industries depends. Madam Speaker, I would add that the hydrographic data assembled by the MHS will constitute the foundational geospatial layer for any future scientific or economic assessment of our seabed. From marine spatial planning to fisheries habitat mapping to the eventual evaluation of seabed resources. Yes, seabed resources. Whatever choices future governments may make in those domains, they will make them on the basis of Mauritian data, held in Mauritian custody under Mauritian law. Clause 1, Madam Speaker, provides the short title. Allow me to run through the clauses very briefly. Clause 2 provides the interpretations. Hydrographic data is defined broadly. Nautical chart includes both paper charts and electronic navigational charts. The definitions are drawn from IHO publications so that Mauritian law speaks the same technical language as the international community. Madam Speaker, Clause 3 to 5, Clause 3 first establishes the MHS as a department of my ministry. Clause 4 sets out its objects. Clause 5 catalogues its functions, the collection of hydrographic data, the production, publication, and updating of nautical charts, the maintenance of uniformity with IHO standards, the assurance that surveys meet established benchmarks, and the representation of Mauritius is in international hydrographic fora. Administration, Clause 6 and 7. Clause 6 establishes the office of the Chief Hydrographer, a public officer with technical qualifications recognized by the IHO. Clause 7 provides for staff drawn from officers of my ministry. This is a lean structure, no parastatal, no board, with per diems. This is, for Clause 8 to 13, the operative heart of the bill. Clause 8 requires authorization for any non-MHS hydrographic survey, a quality insurance mechanism, not a barrier to entry. Clause 9 sets the conditions of authorization referenced to IHO Special Publication S44. Clause 10 reserves the issuance of official charts to the MHS. Clause 11 confers carefully circumscribed power of entry onto adjacent land, preserving any right to compensation. Clause 12 vests all hydrographic data in the state. Clause 13 imposes confidentiality obligations subject to disclosure only with written authorization. Clause 14 establishes the offenses: producing an unofficial chart purporting to be official, refusing to submit data, or falsifying hydrographic data. Each attracts a fine up to 500,000 rupees and imprisonment up to 5 years. Some members may consider those penalties severe. They are calibrated to the gravity of the harm. A false chart is not a paperwork error. It is a document that can sink a ship. Clause 15 confers regulation-making power on the minister. Clause 16 provides seamless transition. The existing hydrographic unit is deemed to be the NHS, and its head becomes the chief hydrographer. Clause 17 provides for commencement by proclamation, which I intend within 90 days to obtain assent, as quick as possible. As far as financial implications, Madam Speaker, the bill carries no immediate additional cost. Staff, officers, and equipment of the existing unit are carried forward. Regulations under Clause 15 will introduce a schedule of fees expected to place MHS on a partial cost recovery footing. Capital investment will be brought before this House in the ordinary budgetary. The Ministry of Finance has confirmed the provisions of this bill are within existing votes for the current financial year. Mauritius now joins a movement of maritime states, Madam Speaker, including the Bahamas, recognized in 2026 as the newest IHO member, and more recently Gambia, that have placed their hydrographic services on a statutory footing. I'd like to record the constructive engagement of the United Kingdom Hydrographic Office in preparing for the orderly transition of charting responsibilities in the Chagos Archipelago, and the support of the IHO Secretariat in Monaco and of our partners in the SAIHC, in particular the South African Navy Hydrographic Office. Madame la Présidente, je tiens à souligner tout particulièrement dans la langue qui convient deux partenaires francophones dont l'appui a été constant, à la République française et à son service hydrographique et océanographique de la marine, le CHOM, avec lequel nous partageons les responsabilités qui s'attachent aux eaux environnant la Réunion. J'exprime la gratitude sincère du gouvernement mauricien pour la qualité d'une coopération technique et scientifique qui s'inscrit dans la durée. À la République des Seychelles, avec laquelle nous administrons conjointement la zone de gestion conjointe sur le plateau des Mascareilles. I would have done that in Creole, but I'll keep that for another time. J'adresse également nos sincères remerciements pour un partenariat exemplaire de ce que peuvent accomplir des États insulaires unis par la géographie, par l'histoire et par une même volonté d'affirmer leurs droits sur l'océan qui les entoure. Madam Speaker, it is only right that I should pay a particular tribute to the government of the Republic of India. The partnership between Mauritius and India in the maritime domain is long-standing, deep, and in the specific field of hydrography, a very direct consequence to the bill now before this House. The Indian Naval Hydrographic Department of Dehradun has, over many years, extended to Mauritius practical assistance of a kind that only a fellow Indian Ocean state with world-class hydrographic capacity could offer. Joint hydrographic surveys in our waters, the training of Mauritian officers at the National Institute of Hydrography, capacity building missions conducted by Indian survey ships, and the sharing of technical expertise in chart production, tidal analysis, and modern survey methodology. I place on record of this House the sincere gratitude of the government of Mauritius to the government of India for its continued support and close collaboration in the field of hydrography. The institution which this bill establishes will, I have no doubt, deepen that partnership further. Madam Speaker, before I conclude, I owe a number of tributes closer to home. Je tiens en premier lieu à exprimer ma profonde gratitude au très honorable Premier ministre, dont la conviction personnelle que Maurice doit parler pour ses propres eaux a porté cette législation, du concept jusqu'à cette Assemblée. Ce projet de loi n'existerait pas sous cette forme sans son leadership constant, sans son orientation stratégique au lendemain de l'accord sur les Chagos de mai 2025 et sans sa vision claire d'une Maurice pleinement maritime. Non pas simplement un État qui se trouve être une île. J'étends cette gratitude à l'ensemble des officiers du bureau du Premier ministre, dont la coordination diligente à travers l'appareil gouvernemental a permis à cet instrument d'arriver devant les membres de cette Chambre, bien rédigé, dûment concerté et prêt à être adopté. I wish also to record my sincere thanks to the officers of my ministry who have been clairement les chevilles ouvrières of this piece of well-drafted legislation. I wish to place on record my sincere thanks to the Honorable Attorney General, to all the officers of the Attorney General's office, the technical drafting of a bill that must harmonize domestic law with UNCLOS, SOLAS, and the standards of the IHO, IALA, and IMO, while also giving proper effect to the charting implications of the 2025 agreement on the Chagos archipelago, is a demanding exercise. The bill, therefore, before the House is a testament to their skill, their patience, and their care for the constitutional integrity of the Mauritian legislation. My thanks extend also to the Mauritius Port Authority, the National Coast Guard, the Ministry of Blue Economy, my colleague who's here, Marine Resources, Fisheries and Shipping, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, who is also acting for today, and to industry representatives, including the Mauritius Chamber of Commerce and Industries Maritime Committee. Madam Speaker, this bill does four things in a single coherent legal act. It establishes an institution. It vests our hydrographic data in the Republic. It creates a regulated market for surveys and charts. And it positions Mauritius to assume full responsibilities and to reap the full benefits of sovereignty over one of the largest maritime jurisdictions in the Indian Ocean. It is a modest bill in its length. It is an ambitious bill in its consequences. It says to our seafarers, your safety is a matter of law. It says to our industries, your operating environment is one of legal certainty. It says to our neighbors in the Indian Ocean, Mauritius will hold its place at the regional table. Ce projet de loi envoie un message clair, Madame la Présidente, à la communauté internationale tout entière. Cette République prend au sérieux les obligations de la souveraineté sur le vaste espace maritime que lui convient la géographie, le droit des traités et la reconnaissance récente de ses droits sur l'archipel des Chagos. Pour un pays de la mer, un pays dont le destin a toujours été lié à l'océan qui l'entoure, il est difficile d'imaginer un texte de loi plus approprié à présenter devant cette Assemblée. Madame la Présidente, I commend the bill to the House and I beg to move that it be read secondly.
Who's seconding? Seconding, yes, DPM. Yes, Mr. Babilal.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Somewhere tonight in our 2.3 million square kilometer exclusive economic zone, 40 times the size of our landmass, a fishing boat, a cargo vessel, or a cruise ship is trusting a chart to tell its captain where the reef ends and safe water begins. That chart did not draw itself. It was measured, sounded, surveyed, and verified, often with the cooperation of partners such as the Indian Navy, whose survey ships have visited our waters some 15 times since 2006, producing 12 nautical charts and 14 electronic navigational charts our seafarers rely on today. The novelist Herman Melville once wrote that it is not down on any map, true places never are. That may be true of the poet's imagination, Madam Speaker, but it cannot be true of the mariner's chart. Every reef, every safe passage in our waters must be down on a map precisely because lives depend on it. That is the quiet promise behind this bill. This House does not often debate hydrography, but our fishing industry, our tourism sector, our blue economy ambitions, and the safety of every vessel leaving Port Louis Harbor all depend on someone, somewhere, having correctly measured the water beneath the Nile. That is what this bill is really about: water, safety, sovereignty, and the unglamorous work of knowing what lies beneath our sea. Madam Speaker, I speak on this bill also as someone for whom water carries a meaning deeper than measurement. As a Mauritian of Hindu faith, I was raised to see water as sacred. We venerate Gangama, Mother Ganges, as the source of life itself. And here at Grand Bassin, Gangatala, our community, gathers each year believing those waters flow in spirit home to her. If our faith teaches us to hold water sacred, this House owes no less a duty to protect the waters that sustain every citizen of this republic, be it Hindu, Christian, Muslim, and all other who call this island home. I rise, Madam Speaker, in support of the principle of this bill. It takes a unit that has served us capably since 2013, a finalist for the Commonwealth Association for Public Administration and Management Innovation Award, and it gives it at last the statutory backbone it has deserved for over a decade. An island nation with blue economy ambitions and sovereignty over an EEZ 40 times its landmass cannot leave the instrument that maps that sovereignty as an administrative footnote. This bill corrects that anomaly. And for that principle, the Honorable Minister deserves credit. Rachel Carson wrote simply, "The sea lies all about us. It lies about Mauritius too. Not as a boundary that isolates us, but as the very reason this small island nation matters on the world stage. A well-governed sea is our inheritance and our opportunity." Let me be plain, Madam Speaker, about what this bill gets right and what it leaves undone. Before I turn to my specific proposals, on the credit side, it gives our hydrographic work at long last a proper statutory home, matching the seriousness the ocean economy deserves. It settles that hydrographic data collected in our waters belongs to the state of Mauritius, and it aligns us formally with international standards set by the International Hydrographic Organization, the International Maritime Organization, and the International Organization for Marine Aids to Navigation, and with our obligations under the United Nations Conventions on the Law of the Sea and the International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea. These are not small achievements, and I do not pretend otherwise. But on the debit side, this bill as drafted has some gaps. It creates a body with significant coercive power to enter private land, demand data, and prosecute, yet built it no duty to report annually to this House. It grants broad powers of entry with no safeguards of notice or compensation. Define the very land it touches so broadly it could sweep in leased pagiometric and private beachfront concessions, and sets the same 5-year maximum penalty for a minor administrative slip as for a deliberate falsification of navigational data. A bill can be right in its ambition and still incomplete in its safeguard. This one I submit is exactly that. This House has itself been reminded through the Director of Audit's own report that good intentions poorly monitored produce weak outcomes. Let us not allow this bill to become a footnote in some future audit report. So let me raise 5 matters with the Honorable Minister, not to wreck this bill, but to strengthen it. Madame la Présidente, cette Assemblée n'a pas besoin qu'on le lui rappelle 2 fois. Il y a plus de 2 siècles au large de Poutre d'Or, le naufrage du Saint-Gérant a donné naissance à l'un des récits les plus poignants de notre île. Paul et Virginie, une tragédie si profondément ancrée dans notre mémoire. En pleurant un naufrage survenu bien avant la naissance de leurs arrière-grands-parents. Et de mémoire vivante, en juillet 2020, le Wakasho s'est échoué sur le récif de la Pointe Desney, déversant 1000 tonnes de fuel dans le lagon de Blue Bay, gravant dans la mémoire de cette génération ce que le Saint-Gérant avait gravé dans celle d'une autre. 2 naufrages séparés de plus de 250 ans sur les récifs d'une même île. Les choses ont-elles vraiment changé entre les deux? This bill, if we get it right, is part of how we answer yes. A properly accountable Mauritius Hydrographic Services coordinating closely with our environmental agencies is how we prevent the next Wakasho. I would ask the Honorable Minister whether Clause 4 should explicitly require coordination with the Ministry of Environment, not merely relevant maritime safety regulators, in identifying high-risk reef zones. Protecting our coastline is not only about navigation. It is about the coral, the mangrove, and the marine life our identity as an island nation depends upon. My first point concerns Clause 8. The bill rightly declares that hydrographic data collected in our waters shall be deemed to be the property of the state of Mauritius. Data is the new coastline, Madam Speaker. Whoever holds it, in some real sense, hold the maps of our sovereignty. But I ask the Honorable Minister plainly, what happens practically to the decades of survey cooperation already underway with the Government of India, our principal chart-producing partner? Will that cooperation, which has given us 12 nautical charts and 14 electronic navigational charts to date, now require written authorization under Clause 8, subsection 2? I ask the Minister to confirm that this bill preserves and does not inadvertently disrupt our hydrographic cooperation with India. My second point is Clause 10, power of entry. This bill allows an officer of the MHS to enter, and I quote, any plot of land to perform such acts as may be necessary at all reasonable times. I do not dispute that survey works sometimes require access to private land, but this clause contains no requirement of prior notice, no reference to compensation for damage caused, and no defined limit on frequency or duration. A citizen of Montagne Blanche, a planter in Grand River Southeast, a family with a modest beachfront plot passed down through generations, they deserve to know that reasonable times, meaning more than an individual officer's discretion on any given morning. I urge the Honorable Minister to accept an amendment at committee stage, inserting a clear notice and compensation framework. My third point concerns Clause 8, the power of the Minister over the Chief Hydrographer. These powers are as drafted abroad. The Minister may issue directions of general character, and the Chief Hydrographer shall comply. I do not begrudge ministerial oversight. That is proper in any ministry. But this bill, unlike a number of others this House has passed, contain no requirement whatsoever for an annual report to be tabled before this assembly. I asked the Honorable Minister whether he would accept, even at this late stage, an amendment requiring the Chief Hydrographer's annual report be laid formally on the table of this House. Sovereignty without accountability to this chamber, Madam Speaker, is only half a sovereignty. My fourth point is on clause 14, the offences. A general contravention of this act carries up to 5 years imprisonment. I do not take breaches of maritime data security lightly, but that same exposure applies to minor technical non-compliance under the catch-all wording. I ask the Minister to consider proportionate tiers of penalty at committee stage. My fifth and final point, Madam Speaker, clause 2 defines plot of land simply as delimited part of land or water. A definition broad enough to reach leased, pagiometric, and private beachfront concession. Was this breadth intentional, and what protection exists for those whose land now falls within its reach? Madam Speaker, none of these 5 points are raised to obstruct this bill. They are raised because a bill establishing sovereignty over our waters should not itself contain ambiguity over the rights of our people on land. No uncertainty over a hydrographic partnership with India that has served this nation for 2 decades. This bill protects our waters on paper. Let us work together today to make sure it protects our people and our partnership in practice. Madam Speaker, I represent constituency number 10, Montagne Blanche, Grand River South East, a constituency with a long coastline, fishing communities who have worked these waters for generations, and families whose land runs down the shoreline this bill concerns itself with directly. When I return to my constituent this week, they will not ask me about clause 8 or clause 14. By number, they will ask me one simple question. Does this new law protect our sea without threatening our land? With the amendments I have proposed today on continuity with India, on notice and on compensation for entry, on annual accountability to this House, on proportionate penalties, and on the definition of the very land this bill may touch. I believe, Madam Speaker, the answer can be yes. There is an old maritime saying attributed to John A. Shedd: a ship in harbor is safe, but that is not what ships are built for. This bill was not built to sit safely in harbor unexamined. It was built to sail. And it is this House duty today to make sure it is seaworthy. Let this House be remembered not for how quickly it passed the bill today, but for how carefully it did so. Because somewhere tonight in our 2.3 million square kilometers of ocean, a captain is trusting a chart drawn by officers of this state. Let this House be equally worthy of the trust our own citizens place in us to chart their rights on land as carefully and as faithfully as we chart our waters at sea. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. You were well within time. You were well within time. Okay. Mr. Honorable François.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. D'abord, en ce 14 juillet, qui m'offre l'opportunité de féliciter chaleureusement le peuple français à l'occasion de leur fête nationale, je transmets notre gratitude et nos vœux de paix, de progrès, de prospérité à la France, surtout pour son soutien apporté à Rodrigue, notamment dans le secteur de l'eau. Bonne fête et aussi bon anniversaire au Premier ministre, Dr. Angoula. Now, Speaker, now I shall provide a brief overview as a graduate surveyor technician on this technical bill presented by Honorable Mohammed, the Mauritius Hydrographic Service Bill number 11 of 2036, whom I congratulate. The bill aims to establish Mauritius hydrographic services, which will, in relation to nautical chart production, be responsible for national custody and safekeeping of hydrographic data, regulating hydrographic surveys and charting within Mauritius maritime zone, and regulating hydrographic data exchange, access control, and sharing. This is fascinating, an important subject, hydrography. Lucinapi International Hydrography Organization Director stated, hydrography and derived products open up new opportunities in the maritime sectors, highlighting now how important it is to invest in the hydrography sector to provide a competitive advantage in the maritime domain, rightly highlighted by Honorable Mohammed. Hydrography is about professional, systematic surveying of the unknown and the invisible, collecting data on the sea depth, seabed shape, tides, currents, and protecting the marine environment, coastal zone planning, and national infrastructure development. The future of navigation is digital. Hydrographers worldwide recognize that the future is blue and beneath the sea, vital for us as an island nation. The IMO, International Maritime Organization, encourages the development and implementation of e-navigation to enhance berth-to-berth navigation using electronic chart display and information system with electronic navigational charts. As interpreted in this bill, hydrographic data covers the physical features of Mauritius maritime zone, including coastal areas, very important, coastal areas, rivers. This morning I heard the Honorable Ashia Biden talking about Vakwa Reservoir. Tides, navigational features. And here I have to mention the working relation with road rigs should be clearly defined. This year, Madam Speaker, the International Hydrographic Organization celebrated World Hydrography Day with the theme, Transforming How Ocean Data is Shared, Recognized the importance of digital technologies and data interoperability in maritime and ocean sectors. Surely our republic is an ocean state with its EEZ as defined, rightly said so by Honorable Mohammed, and especially with the 183 kilometers square extension around road rigs, essential for our sustainable maritime development. Now, Speaker, today, much of our nautical chart production is currently undertaken by India, the chart producing nation for Mauritius, with established protocols for selling navigational products. And to date, the Indian National Hydrographic Office has produced 12 paper navigational charts and 14 electronic navigational charts, 7 for Mauritius, 3 for road rigs, and 2 for Agaliga. Now, Speaker, from a security perspective, the Indian Ocean is emerging as a strategic hub in a global power dynamics with Indian engagement, the Georgia base, and growing Chinese presence among African coastal states. This bill will reinforce security needs and the control of our seabed resources, with Mauritius playing a key strategic role in the geopolitical future with our sovereignty claim on Chagos. Madam Speaker, we are versed with land spatial planning from a technical perspective. And today we are moving towards marine spatial planning for future infrastructure, maritime operation, sustainable management of marine ecosystem, fisheries, and environmental protection. Clause 4F of the bill authorizes hydrographic surveys in Mauritius and the production of and publication, distribution, and updating of official nautical charts for use in our maritime zone. The UNSDG 14, Life Below Water, emphasizes sustainable use and conservation of oceans requires effective strategies to combat impacts such as overfishing, ocean acidification, coastal eutrophication, and erosion. This is part of extension of this bill. We must develop sustainable projects and innovative solutions related to climate change, food security, safe maritime transport, and ocean use. Surely Honorable Boulel will elaborate further on that. In line with Blue Economy vision and growth, Mauritius will need to recruit more hydrographers or hydrographic surveyors to deepen our understanding of our seas for wider economic and social benefits. From an environmental perspective, Madam Speaker, climate change, induced sea level rise and environmental damages demand urgent attention. Our NDC, presented by Honorable Bagwan, NDC 3.0, highlights the impact, adaptation, and vulnerabilities associated with climate change. And as per our NDC, sea level rise is accelerating beach erosion, beachfront loss, and coastal infrastructure damage with more than 37 kilometers, that is 17.6% of our coastal line being affected. And I note that beach widths have shrunk by up to 20 meters in recent decades. This is where hydrography and hydrographic data will be important. Therefore, as a key information producer, we have to adapt to prevent damage, to monitor coastal erosion, and guide coastal public works in our republic. Mauritius has initiated, very important, a carbon sink enhanced program aiming to carry out a blue carbon inventory in our EEZ by 2025, which will require certainly hydrographic data. And today, we don't have much data. Honorable Bagwan is laughing. Certainly you will elaborate on that, aren't you? Madam Speaker, Rodrigues has a rich hydrographic history, with surveys dating back to late 18th and 19th centuries conducted by colonial British Royal Navy personnel. Born in 1780, Lieutenant Russell in 1822, and Surveyor Sherwater in 1874. Our hydrographic publication was done by through a hydrographic map in February 1876 by British Navy hydrographer Evans. Rodrigues today requires more hydrographic data around sea waters, especially Port-au-Prince. This bill will benefit beyond navigation for Rodrigues. Rodrigues faces, as I said, shoreline erosion, seagrass monitoring needs, and environmental concerns requiring hydrographic surveys. Hydrographic information is also needed to monitor brine discharge from desalination plants and siltation of our channels within our lagoon for local navigation. Locally, Madam Speaker, safeguarding marine life and monitoring changes in sea routes near Rodrigues shores are crucial. Rodrigues hydrographic unit should be established, manned by local surveyors, Mr. Minister, who can receive further training. They need training to share marine information with local authorities and bodies also like the NIIC, the National Innovation Research Council, the Meteorological Services, and the Mauritius Port Authorities, amongst others. There is need for what I call a coordinated, connected ocean information ecosystem with Rodrigues and Mauritius as per this bill. Imagine a civil engineer in Rodrigues who want to obtain real-time data from the Meteo Service for current waves near Port-au-Prince. He has to fetch this information from Bakwa Meteorological Station. And today with the hydrographic department or unit being established by the ministry, I believe this professional, if he wants to have data, he has to fetch it from a bend. So, ocean and maritime data must integrate into what I call a single digital ecosystem through a multidimensional approach. Now, Speaker, the future development of Port-au-Prince, as projected by its master plan, is strategic for Mauritius due to its geographical and geopolitical location. Port-au-Prince requires a larger port area, as trends shows bigger ships, increased commercial pressure, and vessel size growth. The last dredging of the main channel and berth area of Port-au-Prince was done in 1990. Maintenance dredging, however, has been done for the annex channel in 2009. Yeah, 2009. And my question is, what is the current hydrographic situation of the Port-Maturin channel today? Most notably, the maneuverability of large ships within the confined waters of the port of Port-Maturin and its capacity limits is a problem. Madam Speaker, Rodrigues hosts one of the Republic's most significant community-based marine conservation initiative, the Southeast Marine Protected Area, SEMPA, covering 43 square kilometers to protect marine biodiversity and support sustainable co-management and coastal resources. In the context of its autonomy, there is a need to create this Rodrigues hydrographic unit, staffed by the local surveyors, as I said, who can thereafter receive hydrographic training. I repeat that. Pressing hydrographic survey requirements for Rodrigues and SEMPA include, within the Rodrigues Lagoon, improve navigability through bathymetric databases and sedimentation characterization in navigable channels within the lagoon. I'm looking at local perspective. Monitoring of current parameters, fishing bank of bandolets. This is very important for our fishers, and Hawkins Bank for effective management and exploitation. We need to have accurate data there. The EEZ and maritime zone around Rodrigues from an economic perspective are fundamental assets for our republic. We must collect maximum marine information therefrom for the future. Madam Speaker, let me conclude. As I said, I will be looking at the technical aspect. The maritime and ocean sectors are undergoing digital transformation. This bill is laying the foundation for safer navigation, more efficient operations, better environmental stewardship, and informed decision-making. In light of what I've said, I reiterate my support for the Mauritius Hydrographic Service Bill and look forward for further elaboration and debate, especially with our Chagos agreement. Madam Speaker, that will be my contribution, and I thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Colette.
Madam Speaker, I humbly beg to move for the adjournment of the debates.
Thank you. It needs to be seconded. Who's seconding, Ms. Colette? Yes, Mr. Venkateswamy. The question is that the debate be now adjourned. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it.
Yes, Madam Speaker, I move for the adjournment of the House to next Tuesday, the 21st of July at 11:30 a.m.
Thank you. The House stands adjourned.